tilting at Windmill's Dragoncraft decks, they don't leave anything in play. They can actually destroy you without actually leaving something in play to trigger the Chronos. So be wary on ladder, folks.
Double-edged sword, because in that sense, the new movie. That person has the emblem for the new promoted movie that's coming out. Heard a lot of great things about it.
And of course, they have Aldos, my favorite. Yeah.
Aldos.
Yep, can't ever get. It's great. So we've got Runecraft banned out. We've got Forestcraft banned out. So we're going to see the old school Dragoncraft, Shadowcraft mirror matchups here.
I wonder what's going through Classic Man's head right now. Must be wondering, what the hell am I about to face? Oh!
There we go. This is an interesting deck list. I mean, Prime Dragon Keeper does have a way to cement itself into the mid to late before all the Bahamut's and all the crazy stuff happens. And if tilting at Windmills doesn't come for Classic Man, which I think he's only playing one of in his deck, if I remember correctly.
Tilting, yeah.
Yeah, one of tilting. So it's more of a classic ramp dragon list, and I believe he's only got one tilting at Windmills in there. So it's not necessarily a way to side skirt this Chronos, so Chronos might be a big factor in this matchup.
Yeah, it's also good to think about. Because tilting at Windmills doesn't leave anything in play, it also means that your opponent just gains card advantage over you turn after turn after turn.
It's true. So you can stop and play a Sybil, maybe draw 3 cards, gain 3 defense back, things like that, and just kind of cement yourself into better draws in the late game.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. The Passover just skips turn 3. Does not want to play the Ayala down.
When it's the only ramp outside of Sybil, you probably want to keep it. Against Dragoncraft, when you're playing Dragoncraft, the most important thing is the ramp. Every once in a while, you can sneak a game with some tempo, but it's very rare. Yeah,
the Oracle off the top is exactly what Classic Man wanted there, especially after your opponent skips a turn.
All right, maybe thinking a little bit about the next few turns and how he wants to play them out.
And this is interesting, right? Because there's a lot of low-cost followers in SUKTAR's deck, which is designed to help out PDK.
That's right. No Prime Dragon Keeper just yet, though.
Oh, interesting. The Goblin Mage. Oh, I guess to pull more ramp. That makes sense.
That is true. Evolve? If Ayala is your only 2-drop, that's a perfect turn 5 play.
Yeah.
Little tech cards here and there, guys. This is what I mean. Everybody's got their own flavor of Dragoncraft. This is not form factor versions of Dragoncraft that everybody's playing.
Double Chronos. That's not really what you want to see too much. But
three Chronos seems like a lot to me.
It does.
Like you only ever need to play 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3? I mean, that's his main endgame engine. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
He wants those Imperial Dragoons. Wants those Chronos. Wants to end the game just that way.
Sybil on 5 is always a little bit uncomfortable as well.
So I like this. This will probably evolve over the Goblin Mage with the Breath of the Salamander hitting the Ayala.
There it is.
Actually doing what she says this time.
Yeah?
Yep. Not going to let her harm Mr. Dragon.
Yeah. The dragon stays safe. Now Overflow is activated for Classic Man, and he hasn't hit necessarily big options. There's no Sahak Wheel, really. There's the Israfil and the Bahamut in hand. But again, it's kind of, we're going back to this Dragoncraft deck that isn't kind of rushing the combo. Okay, well, he pulls the tilting there. Yep. That'll be useful.
Found it.
But that is actually a rarity for this deck, and that is a concern, right? I don't even think there's a Queen of the Dreadsea.
I don't believe so either, but it does open up the options to play around the Chronos, which is really nice. The fact that he found the one of in his deck, awesome stuff.
Just opening up more flexibility.
However, he is getting far behind here, and it looks like SUKTAR is playing around this Israfil turn. I like it.
Yeah, this is real good. This is actually very strong. Very scary turn, especially because you're caught between a rock and a hard place. You're going to have to spend a lot of your removal here.
Yep, and unfortunately cannot get the tilting out now. I mean, obviously because this is open deck list, he knows that the Chronos engine is coming at some point.
Yeah. Israfil down, so it's going to be a heal for 4 and wiping out 2 of the followers, probably just leaving the dragon on the side there.
Yep. And that's already 4 damage on the Israfil, so Breath of the Salamander can come down to take that out. Unfortunately, cannot play Chronos alongside of that, though. So kind of a weird turn here.
Yeah, no evolution orbs makes that tough too.
Might just have to go for it this turn to get the Israfil off the table, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, he really wanted to play the Chronos here because play point 10 is when things really start to kick into high gear, and I feel like SUKTAR really wants the card draw right about now.
Yeah. So he's got to decide. Does he want to Breath of Salamander? Does he want to draw cards? Looks like he's going with the card draw option.
Nice.
Finish off with the removal here.
Yep. Easy peasy.
Sorrow is sounding.
And honestly, the next turn for Classic Man is really just tilting at Windmills, right? With a Pure-Hearted Sand.
Yeah.
Draw some cards.
I think it's more than fine to play that. The Chronos missed the beat by just one turn, I feel like, and now I think it's kind of complicated to play
really
it.
Tough, especially into a tilting at Windmills. It's
Yeah.
like, it might be the only option he has, though, to try to finish this game quick enough, because he's not running the standard Dragoncraft endgame, right? He's not running Israfils and Bahamut's and all those things, so he's got to find a way to win this game.
Yeah, and there you see the Pure-Hearted Singer gaining its value, comes down, draws a card, immediately gets removed by tilting at Windmills, and then draws another card.
It's interesting for me to see a bunch of tilting at Windmills or like a one of tilting at Windmills. Not a lot of Queen of the Dread Seas today. So they're not going all in on the combos.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Okay, well, the game is going to rapidly end here. Just one more turn.
Yeah, and even with...
Oh! Got it. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Forgot about that.
It actually triggers before the tilting does. So never mind. Tilting at Windmills does not play around it.
That's interesting. Even with the Evolve, the Israfil is going to do 12. So this Sybil is going to put him over lethal. And if you play the Israfil and you Evolve it, you draw another 10. So he needs to defend himself for one more turn. If he can do that, then Classic Man will draw himself out.
Interesting. I would have thought that tilting at Windmills would have basically superseded it because it's on your turn. It does not.
Yeah, interesting. It isn't, because Deus Ex Machina always is the last effect to happen in your turn. Right. I guess that makes sense, actually.
We're gonna see here if it's enough to hold. I mean, this is great then. If tilting at Windmills doesn't counter it, then you've got to be very careful on how you execute your damage here.
Yeah, you have to make sure. So, basically, I think you want to go for things like Israfil Zeus, Swing Face. But the question is, can you even leave these cards in play?
Right. This is rough. You have to deal with the Sybil, otherwise it's going to be hard to take SUKTAR out in one turn. Again, no Queen of the Dread Seas to kind of push for a lethal smack before any of the Chronos shenanigans happen.
Is there lethal by storm here? No.
All must come to an end.
It's so hard because almost everything can just swing here.
Yeah, I think. Oh man, this is so rough. The Sahaquil Israfil is like the best play here because you can jam for 4, clear the board, and then the Israfil will deal 2, and get SUKTAR down to 8, which will make a lethal attack next turn. But I think he's playing scared now. See, this is what I'm talking about. Chronos makes you play scared.
Yeah, it's strange. Now, Canyon of the Dragons is also something interesting to think about. Does it throw the dragon down and then you have to draw against the dragon?
Right.
To the skies.
I would imagine if the tilting effect works the same way with the Canyon, I think you would summon the 5/5, then you would draw the 5.
Yeah. All right. But really for SUKTAR, the question is, do you have more ward and healing? Right. If you can't close out the game this turn.
That's true. He's got to survive at least one more big swing here.
He has a Draconic Fervor.
Ooh. 12 is not enough. That's enough for an Israfil Evolve to come down and win the game by itself.
He needs something.
Oh, he's going with the Prime Dragon Keeper instead.
Yeah, and that's going to close things out.
Wow.
Very, very scary. Very scary. I feel like there was a lot of cards milled on the side of SUKTAR.
So sorrowful.
He probably had an option in there that he really wanted.
Yep. I mean, honestly speaking, I feel like without any small wards in the deck, even a Dragon Oracle to try to find something isn't good enough, right? They're just not the options you need to protect yourself here. And Classic Man's going to win that first game on the back of tilting at Windmills.
Very scary.
Very scary stuff. Man, Chronos. That one turn where he played Uri, I'm just like, I wanted to be in Classic Man's head there. He's like, uh-oh, wait a minute. Can I do this? How do I do this? What do I do?
Yeah, you quickly run out of cards, but again, you also give your opponent all the options.
And it's true. Drawing a bunch of cards means that they will draw into another endgame option. So, I mean, like, even if Chronos is a little scary, you've got 20 cards left in your deck. You play down an Israfel, right, or a Bahamut, or whatever it might be, and you draw 9 cards, you draw 8 cards, you draw 10 cards. You will most assuredly draw into another option to just spike some more damage.
Basically means that you need to make sure on your own end that your Chronos draws you the options that you need to protect yourself. Right?
And that's something to consider, right? So Prime Dragon Keeper is a board-centric, tempo-centric type of deck without a lot of defensive options. So if you do play the Chronos, maybe that's a consideration. I mean, he got this far with it, but maybe without those defensive options, it's not going to be enough to push him through.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about things like, you know, what other good protective effects can you pull as a Dragoncraft player, right? Because I feel like there are great options in Havencraft, there are great options in Bloodcraft as well to play out Chronos and have things like imagine Chronos and just drawing into all your Mask of Black Deaths or something like that, you know? Or drawing into Nisha turn after turn after turn. And then all of a sudden you're not scared of tilting at windmills because you know you have a very high likelihood of drawing into the niches.
I mean, maybe you just need to play more wards. I mean, there are not a lot of wards now that work well with Prime Dragon Keeper, but maybe it's just too weird of a mix. I don't know. We'll have to see. That was against the tilting at windmills draw. So. Yeah, right.
Just do that. Do that and call it good.
Yeah, I'm always for Grimnir's. You guys know that.
So swing number two here for SUKTAR. I do think that it was a close game.
Absolutely close. I mean, he got to his engine. It just didn't... Imperial Dragoon was not enough of an engine at the end to overpower the amount of damage Classic Man could put out with the tilting at windmills.
And think about that too, right? If he had pulled Imperial Dragoon on one of those hands, like it would have, dumped 9 damage on his opponent because it would discard 9 cards, right? His full hand, or 8, I suppose, because he played the Imperial Dragoon. And then on the table he has more followers, so he basically just full refills that hand, and he could do just another 8 back-to-back, unmitigated.
I mean, he got there. It's just that he didn't have the time to employ it all. And really considering his options here, I feel like Prime Dragon Keeper is probably pretty well positioned against Shadowcraft. Has a lot of ways to remove the early followers. Ooh, nice. Wins the trade there.
Wow. That makes things a little complicated here. Especially pre-Evo.
If I remember correctly, yeah, Prime Dragon Keeper in the last rotation, of course it was a lot different than it is now, had really good game against Shadowcraft because Shadowcraft has a really hard time keeping a board against it. Yeah, of course, it didn't have to fight against things like Skeleton Prince before, but Skeleton Prince, you know, that adds a new layer to it, but I'm not sure if that's enough of a layer.
I mean, Prime Dragon Keeper has a bunch of opportunities to ping with things like Fire Lizard, and you can use your Salamander very effectively.
And you can't attack it, and Zombie Party can't take it out by itself, so it fits that nice little spot against Shadowcraft.
The interesting thing about Prime Dragon Keeper is because the pings happen during your turn, as opposed to something like Spinaria where that happens at the end of your turn, it changes the whole dynamic of the card, right? All those combos that we saw of Prime Dragon Keeper removing wards and then people ending the game with just swinging their full board into face.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's trying to make sure he gets all the damage in.
Yeah, and hopefully he gets the right trade again.
Oh my god.
I mean, honestly, that's not bad either.
Yeah. Yeah, you're fine with each of those.
Yeah.
But this 1-1 is surviving until the end of the game.
It's getting a lot of damage in. So we talk about it. Every once in a while you get that sneaky little 1-drop, that sneaky little 1-1, you know, wherever along the curve. And it's just outside of what your opponent can do every single turn. You just get a lot of free damage. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's doing work.
Because, I mean, what is the play here? I mean, technically you could Lurching Corpse and Goblin just to put up a board. I mean, you really don't want to zombie party this. That's probably not going to happen. You kind of want to, but you kind of don't.
I feel like you kind of just have to let it happen.
Yeah. You got to fill up the board. Again, no Andriolphus. We talk about this a lot, but it is a huge essential piece of the mid-game for Shadowcraft. If they do not get an option like that, they will start running out of cards, and against a Prime Dragon Keeper deck, it can get a little rough.
Yeah. And the fact that Classic Man is having to throw in cards like this without anything like a Catacomb or a Skull Ring or anything like that, basically means he's losing out on options going into the mid game that Shadowcraft, I feel like, desperately needs.
That 1/1 ends up using up an evolution orb, though. Pretty good value there for SUKTAR.
Yeah.
All right, and he's got a good option here. I mean, he's got Breath of the Salamander into the Star Phoenix if he wants to remove the entire board, get that Lurching Corpse out of the way. Could opt for some card draw with the Summoner here.
That is Beowulf.
Oh,
correct?
Beowulf.
That
I'm
does
sorry.
damage to that removes damage to targets, I believe is his effect. Oh no, that's enhanced.
Yeah.
Destroy
There's
enemy
too many
fall.
new Dragoncraft cards in this deck. But yeah, looks like he does go with the option for the Star Phoenix here.
Very nice.
And that's going to leave a pretty dry turn for Classic Man.
Was able to answer the evolution orb without any of his own.
Yeah,
and really, I
this
guess
turn is rough.
SUKTAR is basically just waiting for the Chronos turn.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have to do much with the hand that Classic Man here. Classic Man might just pass this turn. Feels bad. He might put the Aisha into play, but I doubt it.
It feels really weird.
Yeah. I mean, not developing anything feels really bad. I mean, he does have a Skeleton Prince to come back on turn 6, but this is definitely not the type of turn you want to have.
Demon Eater looking not very good, and that's what we're talking about, right? You throw down all your followers, and then you lose a key piece of Shadowcraft's game plan, right? You have nothing on board, meaning that even a Catacomb top deck doesn't help you.
Yep.
Skull Ring is not that nice. Demon Eater doesn't work.
Wow, he is going to put it into play. Just wants to develop a board. I mean, worst case scenario, right? This might pull out an Evolution Orb. Unfortunately, there is a Star Phoenix waiting in the wings, so any spell could change that around at any time. And he does have the option to change something into a Blazing Breath this turn and get the Star Phoenix back if he wants to remove this board again without using an Evolution Orb yet again. This works too?
Yep.
A lot of interesting plays in this deck.
Yeah. It's very different. I mean, he hasn't hit a single point of ramp yet.
Yep. But I don't think it matters. He's controlling the board in a nice enough way to where if he does get to that Chronos turn, I feel like the Imperial Dragoon endgame against Mid-Shadow is just bonkers. How do you stop a repeatable, 5+ damage every single time to your entire board?
It does actually pull out the Evolution Orb. I feel like that's not ideal for SUKTAR.
Yeah. Small win for Classic Man there. Yeah.
And now the Skeleton Prince comes down, and according to Classic Man's hand, that's basically the biggest follower that he has. He has zombie parties that I suppose can fill the turn out for 2 turns. You get a bunch of zombies.
He's gonna have to rely on, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all he's got.
Let's take it easy next time.
It's interesting to me how much value Star Phoenix gets and how many lists do not play that card anymore. I remember Jay-Z popularized it last season.
Yes.
But we have not seen it very much in the Dragoncraft lists of late, but it does so much work.
Yeah. Star Phoenix can really change the board a lot.
I mean, just repeatable effects in any case. I mean, you just keep getting cards back, more advantage out of them, turn after turn. Feels good.
Yes. Fire Lizard.
Playtime is over. I came to slay.
There he goes. Aiming to clear the board as much as he can, it looks like.
You can either get rid of the Prince or the Skeleton.
I think he's in control enough of this game to where he doesn't want to take any more damage. He might just clear the whole thing. Can't fault him, right? The turn right before Chronos, can't fault him at all.
Yeah. And
That shuts off every option.
I wonder if an Ektar top deck comes through, that's going to be pretty bad for SUKTAR's game plan, but that's not what it is.
Yep. I think this is just straight zombie party trying to get back into this game for Classic Man.
I suppose you could draw with the Tendon Demon Eater, right?
You could. I feel like this is kind of too juicy of a turn. Your opponent hasn't played a Prime Dragon Keeper yet, so you're not really expecting it too much. If they spend their entire turn to Breath of the Salamander you don't feel very bad either. Although Chronos is kind of scary into a board full of zombies. I mean, you play the Chronos, then your opponent plays the Ektar. They get in that first smash of 12 damage, and then they're right back into the game.
Yeah, I feel like SUKTAR wanted just one more evolution orb this game.
We all want one more evolution orb. Every game.
Yeah.
Just one more, please. Looks like he's going with the card draw option, though.
Oh. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
I'll show you.
I like this evolve too, because it makes the Chronos even harder to play.
I think he's still going to go for it, though. Now, the funny thing is that the Chronos will actually undo all of the work that basically Classic Man's deck has been doing to itself this whole game, which is kind of just bricking and not card drawing.
Yeah.
Now it's going to start getting its card advantage back.
I think it's a pretty even field for both players, though, right? SUKTAR needs cards in hand as well.
No Imperial Dragoon yet, either. So this is going to be a pretty...
Ector is... It's very dangerous to play Ector, because that pump up... Like, what is that? Ector will be 5, 11, 16 cards drawn if you play Ector here.
Well, I believe it's only your highest follower, right?
Is that right? I thought it was the wide board. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Of your strongest follower. So if he draws 6, which isn't bad, which is actually really good. He'd max out his hand size, have all the options possibly, you know, that his deck can offer.
Yeah.
This feels like a really good tempo push for Classic Man because of the Chronos. This is these interesting games that we don't know anything about. We haven't seen Chronos in competitive play yet, outside of Take-Two anyway. It makes all of these decisions so hard. Look at how long these players are taking on their turns here, just trying to figure out what to do.
I mean, Ector feels really good. I guess this feels good too.
Yeah, this is a good setup that doesn't overdraw you.
You know your opponent doesn't have Israfil.
Man, still no Dragoon for SUKTAR over here. Exactly what he's looking for. He can't really afford to Fervor here. Board is too stacked. Well, technically, let's talk about it. So 13 damage. If he does Fervor, the board is locked.
Yeah.
So there's no lethal potential on board if he does go for that play.
Yeah. 13 damage on board.
But if he does Fervor this turn and doesn't find the Imperial Dragoon, I feel like the game just ends.
And yeah, there's only 2 turns left until the Aisha comes down.
There it is.
A bit more.
But
that means the game is done.
Is that it? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Plus, that's too much. Should have just played the Fervor.
Yeah. That's tough. There's, you know, you're really missing a lot of that board clear that you are provided with Sahaku Israfils or you know, Bahamut's that come down and just wipe everything.
And he's not playing like Frenzied Drakes on top of the Imperial Dragoons for any extra effects. It's just Imperial Dragoon. That's it. Prime Dragon Keeper didn't really play a role that game. Kind of unfortunate. I feel like he got to his Chronos, but just didn't get to the options he needed to in his games. It felt kind of sticky.
Filled his hand up with a bunch of card draw, and nothing was on the way.
Right. And honestly speaking, in a Chronos deck, because I'm just thinking...